Welcome back to Distorted Opinions. I'm Kayla, and this week I'm joined by Ted. And if you joined us last week, we had one heck of a show with...
There was so much to unpack. We had so many...
there was.
I don't know if we can hold to that standard this time.
Gonna be tough. It's a high bar.
We set the bar too high last week. We got to bring it down just a little bit.
All right. To a more reasonable jumping level. So one of the things that we talked about last week was the new drum mic that Ted was, at the time it was on order, had not yet arrived. And since we recorded that episode, the drum mic has arrived. So we're going to get a debrief from Ted here on this cool little piece of gear.
So I originally, just to back up, I had seen a drum streamer on Twitch that had great sound quality, and I was really interested in wanting to start my own drum stream eventually. And so I'm like, oh, this microphone has excellent quality. I want this. And it was on back order forever. Fast forward, I saw it was available on Guitar Center. I just pulled the trigger. Yes. So this happened to be shipped from the Guitar Center in Marietta, Georgia, to my home. And so it comes with a few pieces. The main component, obviously, is the microphone. And in reading, I thought that there was a separate drum trigger that would be attached and, plug into the module and you can monitor it from there. I'm mistaken. This whole setup can basically brew you a cup of coffee. This thing does everything. The drum trigger is built into this device. This device does everything, which is crazy.
It's the Swiss Army knife of drum mics is what you're saying?
That's how I'm feeling. And wait till I talk about what the module can do. So for those of you that are audio only, this particular microphone will be mounted on the top of the bass drum. And it's really meant for a single bass drum setup. Double bass drums just, doesn't have that good capability. Which is perfect. I only have the one bass drum. It has more of a side, more or less C shape, so you can mount this into or kind of within the top of the drum hoop on the bass drum, and as a clamp, you can screw it down and you can basically clamp it down and make it secure. But the lower back piece of this C-shaped portion of the microphone is going to be as close to the bass drum head as possible, and that is where the drum trigger exists. Mind explosion. So this lower portion is able to detect the bass drum movement and use that as a trigger input. There are two lines out on the back, which are general. What's that? What is that? 1/8, not eighth. Quarter jack. Guitar size jack cords, one for trigger and one for the microphone. And then, so that's all fine and dandy. Then we have this amazing module that it all plugs into. And if you've seen a digital drum kit, you know how there's more of an apparatus attached to the side. Well, this is what that basically is, but only unique for this particular microphone. And on it, there's a number of different components. You can affect the sensitivity of the drum trigger, the bass drum trigger itself. You can adjust the gain of the microphone itself independent of each other. And because it can do everything, it has a control for left side gain and right side gain. So if your cymbals are a little too close, like my ride cymbal is would be in this setup, closer to the microphone than the other cymbals, because mine are kind of low and just off the tom, that I could have the possibility of turning down right side gain only. This thing is crazy. Obviously built-in drum clicks, can connect to laptops and record from there, so I can connect to laptop and stream. It has a USB capability, which is unique for flash drives. You can't connect a USB to PC. It has to be through a specific USB type for the computer. The actual USB input on the back here is for a flash drive. And if it's not already cool enough, you can record anything. You can hit record on this module. It'll save to that flash drive if independent. Or if there is an existing song that's in a format that it'll understand, you can select that track, record your drum part accompanying that track, and it will mix the two together into one file on that flash drive. What? Like, I'm reading the manual. I'm like, this thing is crazy. Like, can it make me a latte or something? Like, this thing is out of control. It has different reverbs built in. So standard electronic drum kit style. You can change, certain drum types. So if you want a maple drum kit sound on certain things, you change those effects. The reverb in itself, studio, small room, and like theater. I think they're the three different reverb types. It's got everything, and because there's more.
But wait,
there is more. The electronic drum kit that I have behind me is also Yamaha, is DTX series electronic drum pads, and cymbals also are a part of that range. I can connect those pieces, incorporate them into one of the 8 possible extra ports for a digital device for those pads, and I can just have them do whatever I want them to do, any sort of digital sound. So now I literally can merge my digital drum kit into my acoustic kit and record it all on my acoustic kit primarily. Holy moly, worth the money. Granted, I haven't tested a darn thing. I just read the guide. But just from what I anticipated, just needing a quality sound, quality microphone, and understanding what other capabilities there are, holy crap. Mind blown. I can't, not a sponsor, but holy moly, I'm already impressed. And now I got to set it up. But now I'm like, well, what am I going to do? I've got so many drum pads. I'm like, do I need an effect for any of the songs that I would want to stream? Listening to all those songs that sometimes they have, even in concert, you go to see like Lamb of God. I notoriously had a certain point in one of their songs where they had a digital pad, and you hit that, and it was just like this massive bass sound that just drops, and it kind of helps suck the sound out of the room for a second, and just force anticipation in the crowd.
Sure.
Yeah, why not? I could do that. Why not? I have the technology now.
The technology is there.
Yes. It's wild.
So my question is, so as far as combining the two kits, how does that work? Like, is that a Neil Peart style? You have one kit behind the other and you just spin around to be able to play the electric kit while you're doing...
So, no. The way that was sort of pictured as an example, you can mount the pads anywhere because they're all basically you would probably need an attachment or something off of an existing cymbal stand if you want to mount them within your existing kit.
Sure.
They're compatible, they're meant to have holders
sure
or pegs that would be able to fit into one of the a cymbal holder, or however you want to configure that. But yes, it wouldn't be you can do it. The way I have it set up now, it's got its full cage and everything's mounted off of that. Sure. I would have to dismantle this one pad at a time, and then work that into a particular stand or an individual holder, because the way I would picture to use it.
Sure.
I wouldn't, I mean, I could, but I don't plan to
Sure.
have it side by side, but
Sure. It would be integrated into your existing acoustic kit.
which find the space, because I've got so many attachments. It's not even funny.
You're going to have to kick a few people and their amps out of your basement, I think, in order to make the room.
Well, and I'm already trying to scratch my head because I have my cowbells on my bass drum where this microphone goes. So where the heck am I going to put my cowbells, plural? So, because there's a couple of songs that I would hope to use. There's a Rage Against the Machine song. There's another track. There's at least 2 tracks that require or have a cowbell component that I would want to use. I have the pieces, but I got to figure out where am I going to put those. Never mind the possibility of 4 or 5 additional pads. So if I so choose, but I've so many options.
Yeah.
I've got a lot, even more to consider now.
Yeah. It sounds like you're going to be doing some experimenting to figure out what works and where the best placement is for everything with this in the mix.
Right. Yeah. I sat down 2 days ago and re-leveled my cymbals. The heights were all different because I'm thinking, okay, if the camera's going to be on, what would objectively look nice and still be comfortable for me. So I re-leveled my cymbals so they're all the same height and they look like, I don't know, it all looks pretty, if you will. So I've so much to think about now. That's a lot.
Yeah. And that's just reading the manual. That isn't even actually
I haven't even tried
it.
any of it yet. Yeah, because I have to. There's a way you can auto set levels, because you can manually adjust the gain in the drum trigger, but they have a automatic configuration. The system will just do it, and you can tweak it from there, which is nice. But yeah, I've got a lot of work to do. But I don't know that I would use the flash drive recording capability per se. I feel like I'd probably use something off of Audacity or whatever on the related laptop for line out. You can do line in 1/8 jack from a cell phone, which, I mean, I suppose you need, with these newer iPhones, you need to have one of the little adapters for the lightning powered ends these days. But yeah, I don't know. It's very pleased. All
right.
I mean, heck, for the money I spent on it, because Guitar Center had them at $600, which it's a pretty penny to get, but it's certainly the quality and the capability was greater than I anticipated.
Sure.
And like I said, I've only heard it used once and was blown away. So I'm hoping for the same.
All right. Well, I mean, for what it's worth, what it probably would have cost you to buy individual mics and get all the same components that you get in that one system. Yeah, exactly. More wires and more hassle, because you'd need to have a mixer to be able to bring all that stuff in too, I'm sure. And you wouldn't get necessarily the same effects and capabilities that you get with that module that comes with that particular mic. So I can't imagine what the individual mics would cost to go that route, but
I did do the math. It's about the same.
Oh, really?
So ish.
That's kind of surprising.
I mean, drum triggers to a module similar to this, having the drum triggers for each of the drums that I have, because I have 5 toms, 2 snares, and the trigger for all of those alone, plus a module, would be the same price.
Wow.
So it's and my cat is wanting to get out of my office at the moment, and she
Do you
needs
need to go
stop.
release your cat?
No, she's just gonna turn around and yell at me. It's fine.
Remember the early days when it used to be my cat that would do that stuff during the shows? It's kind of funny how that's changed.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so that's part one.
Nice.
For Drum Talk, and while we were on the topic of drums, I did share with with you and Keisha that as a drum nerdy interest, Chad Smith is parting ways with Sabian, which is kind of surprising. He's been on Sabian for a million years, and going over to Peisty. And
is that official? That he's announced?
Well, there's so many
That's
rumors,
the speculation.
And people said that he was playing Peisty cymbals at the last show that they went to, and people were kind of freaking out because if you look for the logo on the cymbals and it's not Sabian, it's like, what is he doing? What is this? So that's where the rumor's coming from. Still not officially announced. But that's where people are speculating.
Sure.
But I will say, I've mentioned it on prior episodes. I'm a big Sabian cymbal person. I find their sounds to be more less tinny, like a Zildjian. So it has a better sound tone to my ears, and they complement each other for the most part. So I did get my hands on a Holy China that is Chad Smith's signature. And of course, I didn't realize it. I just like the sound and what it gave me a component of my drums that I didn't have at the time. And once I got it home and I looked, I'm like, oh, yeah, it's a signature on the inside of that thing. How about that? My Pearl snare drum, Chad Smith's signature. I had no idea. I brought it home. I had it for a year and never even looked at it that close. I'm like, oh, Chad Smith's signature. I just like the drum. So, like, go figure. So I don't know if I can do the jump now. I have too many Sabian cymbals. Yeah. I'm kind of vested in that. But yeah, I guess the sound that he's looking for now, he might have found with Peisty and or this other cymbal manufacturer. So it's just a matter of playing a certain thing and letting a new sound come about. So be interesting to see.
Yeah, for sure. And for what it's worth, that post you shared, the guy seems like a class act because he wrote them a really nice departure note about how he was thankful for all the opportunities and it was great to work with them and wishing them all the best, which either a lot of artists when they switch don't go to that level of effort, or the companies just don't share those sorts of things typically. But I thought it was really interesting that he wrote a really nice note. And I believe you said he did something similar.
So I also reading through those comments, and again, a comment's are a comment. I guess he had done something similar with Pearl. But everything I'm still reading prior to this recording is that he's still on Pearl kits. So unless the Google is wrong, he's still on Pearl, but I guess he's in the past he's also switched, and that isn't the first time that it's been a classy departure to do something different. So that was nice though. Yeah, absolutely. And people were freaking out that handwritten, it's been a great to work with, and people were like, he's leaving the band ? And didn't get to finish the rest of the sentence, and they're like, I thought you were leaving. Thank goodness. Like,
didn't look at what account posted it either, that it wasn't. I just read the
first sentence, Chad Smith, oh goodness, he's leaving, what is this? And no, it's just symbols. Drum nerds start talking about it.
Sure. Well, that is awesome. Lots of drum news. I'm sure by next week we'll have another update where Ted has actually tried the mic and we've got some firsthand
I'd still need feedback. To sort a computer that I would be able to dedicate for where the drum set is. So currently I'm not lugging this current setup down
desktop.
There. Yeah, no way. So we need to acquire a laptop, I think, first. So it might be a few weeks yet, but it's on the horizon. It's coming. It's still.
I could maybe help you in the laptop department if it could be something that's not terribly new, because I'm doing major clean out around here and I have my dad collected a lot of laptops over the years, and I'm like, what am I supposed to do with these? The end of the last episode, I tried to show Keisha and Ted the collection of hard drives that's up in the shelf up here. It is no longer because this office got cleaned over the weekend, but I disconnected my laptop, lost my internet connection. They didn't see anything. And the next day, I opened that cabinet to kind of clean things out, and all of the drives and stuff just fell out onto the desk below, on top of the ham radio here, which at least had a dust cover on it. But it was just like, I envisioned myself dying a death under a bunch of old hard drives and like external DVD drives and stuff.
All I picture is one of those Tupperware commercials from like the mid 2000s. You have this problem, to open the thing and they just get buried. Like
exactly. That's basically what it was. I mean, I shouted and I'm surprised nobody heard me. It's like, ah! They all came flying out and ended up, actually, I found another one, didn't even realize that I was doing something earlier, and I missed one that landed on top of the radio here in between the headphones, so I'll have to put that with the rest of them that are now organized into a Tupperware container versus just being stacked up in the cabinet here. But anyway, I have laptops. They're not new.
I don't know, as long as they're functional. But
functional. I just don't know what you need to record with, and I know some of that software can be a little bit more processor heavy and have higher spec requirements. But yeah, we can chat offline about that and see if I can maybe set you up with a laptop. If not, then you'll be looking for a laptop still, and we'll find out, soon enough. There will be an announcement that Ted's starting his drum stream, and we'll be able to see that. And then
possibly, do snippets of the drums, the sound from what I can record off. That's doable.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I can use record on this, because Twitch, with their whole DMCA things, you can't save clips on Twitch because of... They'll just mute the stream within like a minute of any sort of recording. But I can just hit record on this trusty device and then get to save something off.
Sure.
So, yeah.
You thinking about launching a YouTube channel for any reposts of what you can't save to Twitch?
I haven't gotten that far down the road yet.
Okay. All right.
I need to, I mean... the video component to line up with the music, like, unsure how that would all... I mean, the video would exist because I can get the video from Twitch, but then just remixing the sound and into the video, I suppose, would be the only bit of that.
Little extra work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stupid copyright things. Dang it, Metallica, where'd you start?
I mean, I don't think they started. Yeah. But for what it's worth, they got hit with that same copyright thing on their own live Twitch, where they put like some sort of, I don't know what it was, elevator music or something that they put over their stream.
They were doing like a sponsored Twitch event, and Twitch muted them for playing their own music because the system's too strong, and if it just picked it up, and someone just put elevator music over it instead. Which also is a very funny oops, let's give some sort of sound, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that is the one downside to Twitch, and so Ray Bites, who we've had on the show before, and he had been streaming pretty regularly for a while, playing drums, and then he kind of, I think, business picked up for him, and he's kind of dropped off on the Twitch drum streams. But I always kind of wished that he was able to repost some of the streams, because I wasn't always able to watch them live, but I like tuning into his streams, so it would have been nice to tune into them later. But it's unfortunate. Twitch is like, as strong as YouTube and other platforms are with their copyright restrictions on music, Twitch seems like they're above and beyond a whole other level of like I don't want to, I don't know if censorship is the right word, but basically keeping a keen eye on copyright abuse with in particular the music streams, but also gaming streams too, because I'm sure a lot of the gaming streamers probably listen to music or play music, or were. I don't know if they still are because of what's going on, but it seems
I know
like they...
a couple of my Twitch friends, they're super small. They have like a dozen viewers, and
Sure.
they'll still listen to whatever they want in the moment, but their VOD is muted out because
Right.
of, Twitch just, for any sort of recording. But in the moment, I mean, there's talk that if you're playing the music live on a stream that is not music, because there's certainly music channels and things that exist, but there's like Djibouti show, they can't, anything, if the Star Wars theme comes on, they just avoid it altogether because they don't want a copyright strike. Granted, they're a huge channel, that,
Sure.
thousands and thousands of people watching them every stream,
Sure.
so they're more visible, so they don't want to take any chances. But I feel like the smaller channels can kind of, I don't know, fly under the radar as best they can. But
Sure.
yeah, I mean, I've been also just, it's funny. Yesterday I logged in to Twitch, and it was like 10 in the morning, and I just wanted to see, okay, who's on for drums? Live Twitch stream for drums.
Sure.
10 a.m. Eastern. 1.
And where was
At
that
100
person?
I have no idea. The camera quality was like 4K. The guy had decent chops. And he was just playing like these medley type of things, pop medleys, like remixes of, I don't know. I want not Ariana Grande, but more mainstream popular music, but just remixes of those. And he was just playing along with them. And that was it. And then I kept on scrolling. I went, everything's like DJ or, stop it. Cat scratching at the door. Is like DJ stuff, guitar stuff, not too much on bass, this piano, keyboard, singing. And I went down because you can restrict the viewers from high to low. And I scrolled down. Obviously, he had like 110, 112. And I went all the way down to like 15 viewers. Not a single drum stream.
Wow.
Granted, that's during the day. It's not a time slot that I would be competing with.
Sure.
But there's not that many out there, so it seems.
Yeah.
And seems to be a missing, there's a gap there, so I might be able to get additional viewership just because not many people are playing drums.
Sure.
So I don't know. We'll find out.
All right. Well, I'm sure we'll get updates along the way on when that's going to be happening, so that people can tune in and check out the drum stream and get to hear what the mic sounds like firsthand.
That's right.
So very, very cool stuff happening with Ted's drum mic and drum stream. Speaking of, so there's a streamer, or I guess a YouTuber, that you introduced me to a few weeks ago, and I started watching a couple of his videos, and his channel is called Key of Geebz, Geebz. And the first video that I saw, of course, should be no surprise that I gravitated toward. I saw that he was listening to a Metallica song, and I'm like, let's check this out.
Yep.
And he did a breakdown of Orion, and there was a lot of discussion in the comments. Actually, he had made a comment about there being a Hammond B3 organ in that track, or he thought there was something that sounded like a Hammond B3 at one point. And there were people that were kind of giving him a hard time in the comments that were like, no, there's no Hammond B3, that's Cliff's bass, and he ran it through these different effects. And then there was somebody that finally chimed in and was like, Actually, if you look at the credits on the remastered album, there is a Hammond B3 listed on this track. So he's 100% right. There's Hammond B3 in there. And I still don't hear the Hammond B3 wherever he heard it. So I have no idea how this guy pulled the B3 out of all these different sounds that were going on. But
the sound engineer, he has his level of listening is on a heck of a level to
I guess
piece
so.
out like subtle bits, because every time I watch his video for a song that I enjoy, and fun to see his reactions, because usually it's his first time. It's like a first time reaction, and then he breaks it down.
Sure.
He's calling out parts of the song that I've listened to hundreds of times, and I've never picked up that this bit existed. Blown away every time. And I've got better like headphones, headphones to kind of get a better sound quality in.
Sure.
And I'm hearing things on it's on a different level. I'm like, how did I miss this? It makes the music that I already love more interesting, because there's a secret level to this that I wasn't even aware.
Sure. Yeah, I mean that's basically how I felt with this video, because I'm like, I've heard that song I don't know how many times, and I've never picked out Hammond B3, which I feel like a Hammond B3 has a fairly unique sound that when you hear somebody playing a Hammond, you know that they're playing a Hammond. It doesn't sound like a lot of other things. So like I said, the fact that he pulled that out of there and then somebody else was like, oh yeah, it's credited on the album, after everybody else was like, there's no Hammond B3, that's all Cliff's bass. And it's like, well, apparently it's not all Cliff's bass, because there is actually Hammond B3 credit on the album. But that led me to go watch somebody else link to, there's an isolated bass only recording on YouTube, and wow, is there a lot going on there. Like, again, heard the track a lot of times. I know where the bass parts are in that and what they are, but there's a lot more going on there when it's isolated that you don't notice when it's mixed together with the rest of the instruments. That is just crazy to me. I listened to this and I heard things I had never heard before. Still didn't hear the Hammond B3, but I guess if it was isolated bass, there'd be no Hammond B3 in there. But I thought it was a really interesting video, and I really enjoyed his breakdown of the song after he, like you said, he gave it an initial listen, and then he gave some of his thoughts on the mix and the different instruments and the different aspects of the song, which I really enjoy hearing those perspectives. That's one of the things. Rick Beato's another music engineer who I've watched a lot of his videos, because he does the same sort of thing. He does a whole segment called What Makes This Song Great, where he spends a whole, I guess we'll call it an episode, just dissecting a song. And actually, going back to the copyright thing, he's gotten flagged a number of times for using artist music to talk about their music. And he said he doesn't. So if you're not familiar with how YouTube works, when you upload a video, they scan the audio track, and if you've got any sort of identifiable music in that, they tell you that there's a copyright. I forget exactly how they word it, but a copyright claim, I think, is what they call it, which means you can still have the audio unmuted, but you can't monetize the video, and they'll potentially show ads on your video because you're using this copyrighted music or whatever. But apparently there's a difference. There's a copyright claim, and then there's copyright strikes. And if you get, I think it's 3 copyright strikes, they'll take down your channel. And Rick was getting copyright strikes for using songs, and he was like, listen, I'm not even fighting the copyright claims. The copyright claims are what they are. I want the artists to be able to, monetize off this. I'm not trying to take any money out of the artist's pocket, so I don't challenge the copyright claims. And a lot of these songs that I'm talking about are 30, 40, 50 years old, and I'm introducing a new audience to songs that they might not have otherwise heard of. And for these labels to just immediately hit me with a copyright strike without any warning at all, he's had them removed by posting about it on Twitter and basically slamming the labels, and he's got enough of a following that people talk about it, and then they're kind of attacking the label, and then the label's like, "Ooh, well, maybe we should revoke this." But I'm sure there are a lot of people that don't have as much of a following that probably run into the same thing, and it is what it is. You're screwed once they hit you with enough copyright strikes. So I don't know. His channel is really interesting because he does a similar thing to what this guy, the Key of Geebz channel, or Geebz, what he's doing. Maybe the same things happen to this guy and he just doesn't talk about it, but it seems like Rick Beato's had it happen a lot of times.
Different because Key of Geebz doesn't monetize his channel. I
don't think Rick does either.
Oh, really? Because if you're trying to monetize, I feel like that's where a lot of the issues come up. If it's not monetized, and he puts Kia Geebz puts a disclaimer at the beginning of each episode saying, this is not monetized. If you see an ad, the ads are going to the record labels that claimed a stake on this. It's not me. I want to give the artist credit for X, Y, and Z, and that's what we're doing here. Because otherwise, if he was trying to monetize on top of that, no way he would be off YouTube.
And that's exactly what, and I know you had to step away, but that's exactly what Rick said too, is that he doesn't challenge the copyright claims because he's not looking to take money away from the artists. He's using their content to talk about their music. He's not trying to monetize off of their content. So he said he never challenges the copyright claims, but out of the blue, actually, he had it happen with a couple of videos that they'd been up for a while, and then all of a sudden he got up one morning and he had a copyright strike for a video that had been up for like a year. And he's like, why all of a sudden after a year am I getting hit with a copyright strike for this? It's kind of ridiculous. So, it's interesting because he could probably claim fair use based on he's kind of, I guess, reviewing a song. But even then, like, I've challenged some of the copyright claims on some of our shows because we use a snippet of the song in the Song of the Week pick every week. And for the most part, either the labels just don't respond, and then after 30 days, the copyright claim is removed. Or I had, I think it was one of the Rush tracks. I think it was, I had used Spirit of the Radio was my Song of the Week pick for the episode we did with Carrie. And when I challenged the copyright claim on that, Rush's label within like a day actually just released the claim, which is the only time I've ever had a claim where the label was just like, they didn't just let it go for the 30 days. They were just like, yeah, no problem. Here you go.
There's room for a Canadian joke in there. Do you apologize too? Or oh, sorry. I'm sorry. That's I can't. It's too easy.
Oh boy. Yeah, no, I don't. It was surprising to me that a label released the claim because that's not something that usually happens. Whereas the couple of times where I've picked a Metallica pick and I've challenged the claim, they almost immediately reject it. And then I can't try to pursue having the claim waived again, because if I do, and I think if it gets rejected a second time, I think that becomes a copyright strike on the channel. So I'm just like, fine, whatever. If they're gonna reject it, whatever. But I don't know. I don't know who monitors these things. Sometimes it's a little bit odd because the, I guess, copyright holder that they list over the music is not even the artist, and it doesn't look like it's even the label that the artist is signed to. So I don't know if there's
it's probably some agency that is doing this on behalf of multiple record
maybe.
labels or
Yeah.
things like that. That's probably, I mean, because that's the only way you would get a weird name in between.
Yeah.
Then they would just, I don't know, does YouTube give them a cue? It'd be like, hey, here's the past week's worth of 8 million times people tried using this song.
Yeah.
Go to work.
They get notified. So when you submit a when you submit a dispute for a copyright claim, what happens is you have to, like, they take you through a bunch of prompts, and basically they explain to you, this is what copyright is, this is what constitutes as fair use, and this is what does not constitute as fair use. Do you feel that your use is considered fair use? And then if you say yes, then you go to another page where you have to choose what type of like what fair use usage is your content, and then you explain why you're using that music or what the reasoning is for it and what you're using it for. And then that gets submitted to the copyright holder, and they have 30 days to respond to it. So I assume they get a queue with the information that you submitted, and they can choose to either ignore it, approve it, or reject it. And I suspect whatever entity is in charge of Metallica's music probably doesn't even read the write-up that gets sent in with
reject.
Yeah, exactly. Because I'm fairly certain that there's no disputing that our use of the music in the Song of the Week clips is fair use. It's less than 30 seconds. We're talking about the song and basically reviewing it. And it's not like we stop talking, let it play for 30 seconds either. We're talking over it. So, and we don't necessarily use parts. Like, that's the other thing. They say, would using this piece of music replace listening to the actual piece of music? And I don't think you can really say that using 30 seconds of a section of the song is a fair substitute for going and listening to the full song elsewhere. So I don't know. My opinion is, I don't think there's any argument that our usage is not fair use, but I don't know. Maybe I'm going to get a bunch of emails and messages from people now that are like, well, I disagree. But I mean, the whole point is we're trying to promote music and artists that we enjoy, and we want people to go listen to their full songs and support them, which is part of why we put together the Song of the Week playlists for people to go find those songs more easily and be able to listen to them. But YouTube is a funny world for a whole other host of reasons besides the weirdness that is what Twitch does with their live music stuff. But it's, you know, I can see where it would be frustrating if your whole channel centers around listening to songs and dissecting songs, and then all of a sudden you're being told, oh, your video's been pulled because you used music from this song. And it's like, well, yes, because it's a like we're analyzing the songs. So yeah. Anyway, that turned into a little tangent that I wasn't planning to get into, but let's just say that Key of Geebz is another account, kind of like Rick Beato, that I would recommend checking out if you're interested in just getting a whole nother level of what is going on with different well-known songs, because he really breaks down a lot of different songs, and it's a lot of different genres too. It's not like he just sticks to one genre and
he gets recommendations from the comment section and some of the Patreon members and things. So some of the songs for like Gojira or some of the other bands that he's been reviewing, some of them are a little deeper cuts, still well known, but it makes it more fun because it's like, yeah, I know these songs. You've never heard these songs, but it's fun to see the reaction to him hearing this for the first time, and then also breaking it down. And still, his first listen, I'm already learning more than my 1,000th listen. So it's pretty incredible. So
yeah, it's a really cool channel. So definitely go check that out. I did not pay attention to what time we started, but I feel like we're approaching an hour.
We're closing in.
So I don't know if we want to move on to Song of the Week or if there was anything else that you wanted to bring to the table.
This week was all about drum topics and Chad Smith. So outside of that, I don't have anything else for this particular episode.
Okay. Sounds good. I mean, I've got some other notes, but I could easily be here for another half hour talking about the other things that are on my list of notes. So we should probably head into Song of the Week so we can wrap the show. As a reminder, if you are new to the show or if you just need the weekly reminder, we have a Spotify Song of the Week playlist, as we were just mentioning. We put the link to that in the description of every episode, or if you're watching the video version of the show, we also put a Spotify scan code on the screen. All you have to do is open Spotify on your phone or mobile device, tap the search bar, and tap the camera icon next to it. Hold your device up to the screen, and it will scan the code and take you right to the playlist, where you should favorite or like the playlist so that you can find it more easily. But we will also put this week's Song of the Week picks in there as well. On that note, I'll go ahead and do mine real quick since I have the floor. This was a rare occasion where I did not have my Song of the Week prepped before we, like, in advance of us getting ready to start the show. So I was kind of scrambling a bit, and I was looking through my playlist and saw this song, and I thought, oh, this will be a good one. It's a new song. And so my pick is Bob Moses and their track Love Brand New off of 2022's The Silence in Between. I started hearing this on SiriusXM Alt Nation over the last few weeks, and I've heard some of their other songs before, which have been pretty good, so not surprisingly, I really enjoyed this one as well. I really didn't know a whole lot about Bob Moses, to be totally honest. I thought Bob Moses was the artist, like that is his name, Bob Moses. Apparently that is not the case. Bob Moses is a Canadian duo consisting of Tom Howie and Jimmy Valance, and this song in particular, I thought this was really interesting. I was reading a Billboard interview with them to get some notes for this, and they actually said this song was influenced by Nine Inch Nails and Prince, which I can kind of hear the influences listening to it now, but I wouldn't have necessarily expected that initially listening to this song. But according to what they said in the Billboard interview, the beginning of Closer by Nine Inch Nails was a heavy influence on the track. There's a lot of industrial sounding drums throughout, and the funky guitar riffs were influenced more by Prince. And so I thought that was very interesting. It was co-written with John Martin and Michael Zytron, who also co-wrote Swedish House Mafia's Don't You Worry Child. And apparently these four got into the studio and wrote the song in just a few hours. I guess it came together real quick, like the guitar riff got laid down and then the drums, and then they kind of came up with the vocal part, and they said the demo actually pretty much sounds like the finished song. That's that I feel like that's probably kind of unusual, because usually I think songs get a lot of overhaul after the demo and there's a lot of parts missing that get added up. So yeah, definitely. But it's an awesome track. I've really been enjoying it when I've heard it on the radio. Again, Bob Moses, Love Brand New, and that's going to be my Song of the Week pick for this week.
Nice. Yeah, so back to Drumstream. I have been just going through my catalog of music, and as I find a song and I'm like, oh, this will be fun to play, and I came across Static X, All In Weight, from their 2003 album, which is called Shadow Zone. But that song comes through my ears every so often, but for whatever reason, and I'm looking for a song that is playable drum-wise for me, and catchy, fairly up-tempo, Static X fun. Also, it's one of a handful of their songs that there was actually more singing from Wayne on this particular track, as opposed to just his usual growls. So it has a good contrast between singing, basic singing anyway. It's not flashy, but between that and the classic Static X sound that any fan knows and loves. So with that, I feel like it's time to bring this one back to the forefront and make it song of the week. So if you, as I noted, it's on going to be my drum stream playlist, which that playlist alone has 54 songs at the moment, and continues to grow. So as I find more, I'm just like, yep, I can play that. Yep, I can play that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So Static X for the win.
All right. Good pick.
And they're on tour this summer.
Oh.
They're on tour with Rob Zombie and Mudvayne and Powerman 5000.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Because it's like 2003 all over again when this album came out.
Yeah. That's right. I forgot about that because I believe you had sent a message to the Distorted Opinions Instagram when they announced that tour, and it was like, what is this? The early 2000s reunion?
1999 or 2003, whatever. But if you're interested in going to see a good old fashioned lineup, that they're on tour this summer, buy tickets.
All right. Awesome. So with that, we have reached the end of the show, and as a reminder, we are taking a hiatus after show 104, which, if you're not sure and you're wondering why episode 104, because 104 is our 2-year anniversary, so we decided instead of 100, we would stop at 104. And this episode is episode 101, which means there are only 3 more episodes after this. And the 104 episode is going to be kind of a recap of the last 2 years, which means there's 2 episodes that we need to fill with some topics here. So there's a little bit of time. If you have an idea for a topic or you want to try to join us last minute for a show, be sure to reach out to us. The easiest way to find us is just to go to our link tree, which is linktr.ee/distortedopinions. We've got links to all of our social media platforms. Our email is in there. Our YouTube channel is in there. We're still trying to get to 100 subscribers. So if you can head over to YouTube and search for Distorted Opinions and hit the subscribe button, we would appreciate it. We've also got links to all of the places that you can find us in audio only format. Everything is in the link tree, linktr.ee/distorted opinions. So be sure to head over and check that out. And we hope that after a bit of a hiatus to return. So even if you don't necessarily have an idea for a topic right now, or you want to join, but can't quite pull it together to join us in the next couple of weeks here, still reach out to us because we can see about having you join us or potentially discussing your suggested topic when we return from our hiatus. So on that note, Ted, thank you for joining and sharing your update on your drum mic. And we look forward to hearing about how that progresses as you're able to start using it.
Dr. Evil Hands.
Yes. And thank you to our audience for tuning in. We'll see you next week with a new episode. See you then.